the Autopen presidency, who was really running the country. As the final chapter of Joe Biden's presidency closes, a political firestorm is erupting, one that may redefine our very understanding of executive power, presidential competence, and the hidden mechanics of leadership inside the Oval Office. And at the heart of this controversy is not a scandal of personal enrichment, not a cover-up of foreign dealings, but a pen, or more precisely, a machine, the Autopen, originally designed to help presidents sign ceremonial letters and routine documents. The Autopen is a mechanical device capable of replicating a signature with uncanny accuracy. It was never intended to serve as a tool of executive authority. Yet, in the twilight of the Biden presidency, that's exactly what it may have become. Back in 2011, President Barack Obama authorized the Autopen to sign a debt ceiling bill while overseas, a move that drew criticism but passed legal scrutiny, because the authorization was explicit and deliberate. Today's situation is profoundly different. The question isn't whether President Biden permitted the Autopen, it's whether he was even aware it was being used. The story exploded after reports surfaced revealing that dozens of high-profile pardons, ranging from Anthony Fauci to members of the January 6th committee and even members of Biden's own family, had been signed not by the president himself, but by the Autopen. These weren't ceremonial notes or low-risk approvals. These were legally binding clemency decisions with enormous political and constitutional consequences. According to a Washington Examiner investigation, internal White House records show that multiple clemency warrants were processed using batch Autopen signatures without clear evidence of the president's direct involvement. That revelation triggered a tidal wave of political and legal scrutiny. Representative James Comer Akai, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, moved swiftly, launching a formal investigation into what he called an unauthorized exercise of executive authority. Comer named 3 Biden aides, Annie Tomasini, Anthony Bernal, and Ashley Williams, as individuals who may have been making decisions on behalf of the president. Subpoenas are now in motion. The allegation is as shocking as it is sobering, that unelected staffers may have been running the most powerful office in the world while the president, possibly impaired, remained in the background. Senator Ron Johnson, a whiz, demanded public hearings to assess the president's cognitive health during his final year. Who was actually running the country? He asked in an interview with Axios, a question now echoed by political analysts, legal scholars, and members of the public alike. Adding to the urgency, the Department of Justice has initiated its own internal probe. The review is being led by Ed Martin, the newly appointed pardon attorney, a figure who had previously been blocked by Democrats for a key federal role, but whose involvement now takes on historic significance. If even one of those Autopen signed pardons was issued without full cognitive authorization from the president, its legality could collapse under constitutional challenge. This isn't speculative. Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution vests the power of the pardon in the president alone. If someone else, whether a chief of staff, legal advisor, or well-meaning aide, issued that order without the president's conscious involvement, the pardon may be invalid. It would set a dangerous precedent, revealing a governance model where legal decisions flow through a chain of staffers rather than the elected executive. Fueling the national conversation is a bombshell new book titled Original Sin, co-authored by CNN's Jake Tapper and Axios's Alex Thompson. The book provides a behind-the-scenes account of an administration increasingly reliant on managed optics, scripted briefings, and staff control. It claims Biden's mental clarity had declined so significantly that he could not reliably recall decisions he had made days or even hours before. Among the book's most disturbing revelations is a moment during a meeting with House Speaker Mike Johnson. In the meeting, Biden denied issuing an executive order that paused liquefied natural gas exports. The problem? He had signed that very order just weeks earlier. Johnson, visibly shaken, told journalist Bari Weiss, "I don't know who put the paper in front of him, but he didn't know." The anecdote mirrors a warning from former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who had also expressed concern after observing a decline in Biden's ability to engage meaningfully during critical policy negotiations. "He's not the same person," McCarthy said, reflecting on Biden's transformation since his vice presidency. The White House has largely brushed off these developments, dismissing them as partisan maneuvers. But the silence has only deepened public suspicion. If the president was not making these decisions himself, then who was? Some point to Mike Donilon, a longtime advisor often described as Biden's brain trust. Others suggest Anita Dunn, the influential political strategist known for her mastery of messaging and control. More ominously, some believe the administration operated under an informal network of senior aides, shielding the president while making key decisions on his behalf. The symbolism of the Autopen is unavoidable. A machine replicating a human signature with precision, but without consciousness, now stands as a metaphor for a presidency possibly running on mechanical momentum, policy by delegation, power by proxy, command without clarity. What if the real decisions during that final year were made not in the Oval Office, but in the staff corridors behind it? What if the person elected to lead the free world was no longer able to do so and no one told the American people? These aren't just theoretical questions. They carry profound legal and constitutional weight. Can clemency orders be rescinded if the president wasn't fully aware of signing them? Can executive orders be reversed retroactively? And perhaps most unsettling of all, how does a democracy protect itself when the person entrusted with the highest authority is no longer fully present? We may be facing the most sobering institutional crisis in modern American history. This controversy isn't just about Joe Biden. It's about the system around him, a system that may have quietly drifted into unconstitutional waters. We know the president was shielded from the press. We know unscripted appearances were avoided. We now suspect that decisions with global implications may have been made in his name, but not by his hand. And so, we return to that hum of the Autopen, a device meant to save time, not replace judgment. It may now represent something much darker. The erosion of direct accountability, the automation of power, the illusion of command. The question now haunts both Congress and the American public: who was really running the country? And if it wasn't Joe Biden, can we ever trust that it was done in accordance with the Constitution, the law, and the will of the people? The coming investigations may not just reshape Biden's legacy. They may redefine the very structure of presidential authority in the modern era.